What is up, YouTube? Today we're going to be going over calf training, and in particular my calf training, how I train calves, because that is a muscle group that has become a strong point for me, and it is something that a lot of people have asked for. So for starters, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. I pretty much document my whole entire fitness journey. But with calf training, if we were to take about 20 gym bros, I would say only about one out of those 20 gym bros knows how to train calves. And not only is it a neglected group, it's a muscle group that most people just generally don't know how to train, and their understanding is very limited. So for starters, calves are a very slow twitch muscle group, so they can be trained more frequently. So you need to change your mindset from just hitting calves all out one time to that calves need to be trained consistently. I would say if it was 3 days, it's honestly even too infrequent. Literally, I'm training my calves just about every day to every other day. 3 days would be very long. So with calf training, the first thing that would really help you is that just increasing the frequency. I talked about this on my last YouTube video episode, but honestly, a good starting point for most people is just 5 sets of 20 reps. 5 sets, 20 reps on any exercise. Well, the exercise that I like to do is the Smith machine calf raise. Now, when you do your calf training, honestly, you're going to have probably, I would say, about 3 to 4 exercises in your arsenal. And that's about all you need. But the one that I've stuck to and the one that gets the brunt of the work is the Smith machine calf raise. Now, on Instagram and social media, you'll hear a really strong emphasis on how you have to break parallel. And what you'll notice is that I don't break parallel on the Smith machine calf raise. And the reason why is because that has to do with longevity. A part of lifting and getting good is your ability to go in session from session. And if we're training calves and we know we're training them very frequently, you don't want to be putting one, a heavy axial load on your spine every day, but two, breaking that parallel with 400, 500, 600 pounds, because you're going to be doing it every single day. And that's a lot on the tendon as well, right? Like your Achilles as well. So you don't want to be doing that. Instead, what I do is shortened range of motion. And what a lot of people don't talk about is that you're still able to get and activate the calf a lot. So the next thing that we have to really talk about with calf training is the sets and the reps. So honestly, what we're doing today is you're seeing me build up to my heaviest weight. But when I'm doing calf training, a set is typically 40, 50 repetitions. Maybe the only sets that are below 20 reps are sets where I'm working up to my highest weight, where I'm going to be doing the 5 sets for 20 reps. So consistently, whenever I'm training calves, the reps are really, really high. 20 is low. 20 would be a very low set. So the next thing that people don't talk about with calf training is how you press, or how you really contract the muscle, or really, I guess, the ankle flexion, I guess. We don't need to get too sciencey here, but the point is that I've only heard Frank Zane talk about this. And with the calf, what's really helpful is pressing through the balls of your feet, or really the big toe. That's how I just need to cut to that. It's pressing on your big toe. It's something that I've never heard talked about other than Frank Zane. And when you press on your big toe, you'll feel a different contraction, right? So you have to kind of think of your foot being cut into thirds, right? You kind of have your toes, and then you have the middle of your foot, and then you have your heel. Really pressing on that first initial toe box is really going to help you contract a lot differently, right? So the next thing too is also focusing in on the speed of the rep. So when we say the speed, how quickly you're going through each repetition. So some sets, as I've told you guys in the past, I'll really focus in on the negative, but for calves, some sets I'm actually really just pumping them out, right? And by pumping them out, I feel as if, I'm able to get kind of blood into the muscle and to really engorge the muscle. Because as, people always say this, but they're the pump doesn't matter, but in my honest opinion, getting a pump and being able to really feel the muscle engage is important because it's kind of like an indicator for growth. If you notice in your training, any muscle group that you really have a hard time getting a pump in is probably going to be the muscle group that you're really going to have a hard time growing and developing. And the same thing goes with the calf. Like when you're training your calves, you want to definitely be feeling some kind of a pump sensation. You want the muscle to be engorged with blood, and that should be a goal and a focus for you. The other piece too when we train calves is not only the speed of the reps, but also locking the repetition. So when you lock the repetition, really squeezing at the top of the rep. Now, one of the things that people are going to ask is like, okay, why do you choose the Smith machine as the movement that to really, like, I guess, grow your calves? And the reason why I've chosen the Smith machine calf raise is because with the Smith machine, it's not a free weight. So when you have free weights, oftentimes they can move in multiple planes of motion, and that takes your focus off of contracting and developing the muscle, and you're focused in more on, just stabilizing and protecting yourself. Whereas here, you really want to be able to just focus in on developing the muscle in and of itself. You don't want to be worried about, like, am I going to get hurt? And that's why the machine is really helpful to help develop the muscle. So we have 1, how you press, 2, the exercise selection, 3, the repetitions, and I guess 4, kind of like the speed of the rep. Okay, the next thing that we want to talk about is how heavy you should be going when you do calf raises. So if you ever watched fat people, or if you've ever looked at a fat person, they have really big calves. And there's a reason why, because they're walking and carrying such a heavy load. And if you've ever even looked at people who are fat and then got skinny, they still have really big calves. It's because they're carrying such a heavy load. And the same thing needs to be said about when you're training calves in the weight room. You need to actually go really heavy. And I actually learned this from Frank Zane. If you actually look at his lifting journal and his lifting logs, and this is somebody I've been studying very frequently in the last couple months, he actually talks about how he would go up to like 500, 600 pounds. And if you look at somebody like Frank Zane, you're like, there's no way he's that big. But in the reality is he was going up to that heavy of a weight to really grow and develop his calves. So for our calf training, even today, 465, believe it or not, is kind of a light day for me. Typically, we're trying to get up to like 500, 550. Like, that's a good amount of weight. And I know those numbers sound really scary, but 2 things. 1, over time, you'll really be able to kind of carry that weight on your back. And 2, the Smith machine also does take some of the load for you. And 3, the last thing is like really engaging your core and engaging your glutes. Because when you squeeze your core and your glutes, they are 2 of the muscle groups that are, if you're training correctly, they're 2 of the muscle groups that should be the strongest in your body. And they will help you, that abdominal pressure and strength will help you kind of carry that load so it doesn't feel as heavy. And over time of just like having that much weight, your central nervous system also adapts to having and handling those heavier loads. Next, we have the seated calf raise, but a lot of the work has already been done from the Smith machine calf raise. With the seated calf raise, this is really an opportunity to stretch out the calf muscle by going low and breaking parallel. Now, with the seated calf raise, what I like to do is I like to go with a lot less of a weight and really give my body the opportunity to break parallel. So with that less weight, I'm kind of stretching out the muscle at this point. Next, we have the standing dumbbell calf raise. With this exercise, I play around with the foot position and I also play around with the knee bend. But first, we need to have a quick anatomy lesson. So you have 2 portions really of the calf. You have the soleus and you have the gastroc. The soleus is that big bulb and the gastroc is that big bulb, and the soleus is the under muscle of the calf. So the soleus versus the gastroc, the difference is determined by the knee position and not as much the foot position. The soleus is most active when the knee is bent, and the gastroc is more active when the knee is straight. The toe angle, in, out, forward, only slightly biases the medial versus the lateral head of the gastroc, and not really the soleus. So if you guys notice, sometimes I will go and below parallel and sometimes I will not. It really doesn't actually matter as much. What matters more so, quite frankly, is actually the intensity of the workout. But yes, like, is like breaking parallel important? Yes, it is. But like, what matters more is the intensity, quite frankly. So next we have us doing my finisher, which is the donkey calf raise. My gym doesn't have a machine for this, but what I like to do sometimes is I like to put a ball between my ankles. And what this really does for me is it helps bring up the inner calf sweep, but it's also a great for like rehab and corrective focus training. I learned this when I was a lacrosse player. I got it from like some like trainers a long time ago, but it's just a good exercise to kind of really focus on like rehab and making sure that everything in there is tight and good to go. So that's pretty much it for my calf training. That's a lot of the tools and weapons that I have in my arsenal. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.